Have you been persuaded lately? What have you been persuaded to do lately? In persuasion, we'll cover it later, it really is to help someone change beliefs or behaviors. Think of it that way. I'm helping them change a belief or a behavior. What makes Super Bowl ads so persuasive? Imagery does. Yeah, Dallas Willard talks deeply about how we're formed by images we see, how they affect us for good, for bad, and even images we make up in our mind. We make, like we're our biggest talker to ourselves, we learn, but we're also the biggest image creation in our mind. Good, that's good. So images are part of it?
Keep your attention.
They're short for ADD people. So it's customized to what the person needs. That's a good one. That's in the disciplines. Because some people need long discussions about stuff. So true. And who was at a Super Bowl party where the game, okay, I guess. Hey, the penalty to start the game was the most interesting thing about it, and everybody was engaged. But then somebody said, be quiet during the commercial, like, hey, hang on, I want to hear this. Anybody hear that? Or at least you paid attention. I want to hear the rest of this one. This is interesting. Anything else? So that's one of the principles, for sure, fundamental.
Some of them are,
I know you're not eating biscuits, but.
They try to make them relatable.
Relatable.
The Tostinos one, but.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Relatable. Do you know, I put this in the article, but 1965 was the first broadcast Super Bowl, I think it's the first one, period, but they paid $37,500 to reach 24 million people. And last year, they paid $7 million to reach 115 million people. That's an increase in what they're willing to pay for those ads by 3,900%. So it went from 1.5 of a cent. A basis point is less. 1.5 basis points is what we'd say in finance, right? To 600 basis points to be 6 cents. So 3,900%. Why would they pay even more? You need to see that math real quick. It's here. 0.0015 to reach a household to 0.06 to reach a household. So that's 3,900%, and I can prove it later. I messed it up in the email. It was right. It's now right in the article, by the way. Why? Why the escalation? Inflation is not 3,900%, is it?
I don't know.
It's not. I checked. A Coke is gone from 5 cents to really in the store still to about 50 cents, especially if you buy in bulk. It's even less, but a Coke hadn't gone up that much. It's gone up more. There's a case you can make it 10 times. Yes, we're talking about it. Who's talked about an ad since then? 20 publications covered it Monday morning. So there's just all this extra. That's all that's worth it. So there's inflation, there's talk about it, all that. Okay. Anybody been an effective persuader they want to share for a minute? Where have you been an effective at persuading somebody? We heard how you've been persuaded. Okay, who's got somebody they need to persuade? Whom do you need to persuade right now? Let's hear the roles in your life. Sellers. I'm a good buyer. Huh? Yeah? Okay. And the housing market was flipped 4 years ago when I bought one. They had to convince somebody I'm going to be a good buyer. You know that way too well, don't you? Children.
Me.
Yourself.
I have to persuade.
Yeah. So Paul David Tripp, he talks about that so much. We're the biggest talker to ourselves for positive, for negative. Hey, soul. David did that. Awake, O my soul. The Lord's been good to me. So self is a good one. That's a free biscuit. Yeah. Hadn't had that yet. You got somebody in your mind? I need you to engage in this lesson for these next 37 minutes. Have somebody in your mind, okay? You got one? Everybody got one? And then share the example when we get to it. You don't have to divulge anything, just share. What good should you persuade them toward? Around the office, I want to help you be better, right? Our clients at Wonderman needed so many different things. We said, well, but our job is to help them succeed by their terms, and then to what they need worse. Good. Okay, everybody got yours in your mind for your person, even if you're not saying it? Okay. What do we need to know before persuading them? What they need. Good. Picked up. That's a listening lesson. Now listen, bring it to us. Good. Also the facts. Like who is, in starting to persuade somebody, has been a little off in their facts and has shut the whole thing down. I started the wrong way. I can start the wrong way emotionally. I can start the wrong way relationally. I can start the wrong way with a fact that is a trigger for them. You know, it might even be true. Now, I started the article this week with the wrong facts, the wrong decimal places. It even said the Super Bowl started 1865. It was what the email said. It was corrected later. But you can find the mistake in the email, but it's not. So, but you start reading something, and I'm trying to persuade that y'all need to persuade. It's like, if the fact's wrong, who's going to dismiss that for a minute? You might. If I start wrong, it certainly gives me an opening to say, I'm going to dismiss what you have to say the rest of the time, Daniel. Right? Okay, so we got that fixed. That's the math. It's in there. If you need it, I'll let you know. We now have the facts. So the competency we want to get as good at as breathing is knowing the need, which carries over from listening, and then doing is persuading, to move forward, persuading them for good. And that's a double meaning of for good, for their good now and lasting for lasting good. Okay, that's what we're trying to say. Okay, so here's what we're going to try to do in 30 minutes to become a person who knows what people need now and forever and help persuade them to change their beliefs and behavior. So I want to bless them now, and so it's good for them forever. How could this buyer, how could I bless them in a way that's going to help them live forever? So I've got the short-term need at hand. I don't really have much trouble covering what I want, unfortunately. But what's their need? What am I trying to do, especially in business? In personal relationships, you're more aligned. But that's why Covey says over and over, 780 times in that 7 Habits book, think about it, how it works in personal relationships, and that's the way it needs to work in business and professional relationships too. You learn it there, bring it over there, and I know it works both ways. But help them change beliefs and behavior now and forever. That's what we're going to try to do. There are 6 principles of persuasion in really this fabulous article by Robert Cialdini. But really great, and it's attached to the bottom of our article. I really recommend it. So we're gonna see what he said. But the principle of liking, which I heard you say, the principle of reciprocity, some of you said that, social proof, we saw that in Super Bowl ads, consistency, authority, and scarcity. Those are the 6 fundamentals of persuasion. And the science backs all this up, so psychologists say this. So now we're going to see how Harvard Business Review, psychologists, and God agree. Okay? But we're going to put it through this, the way work works. The way those that follow Jesus should work is that first I want to do an excellent job in my work, in my business, and I want to be an excellent persuader in a way that's good for people, that's the blesses others, that eventually, the more I become a trusted advisor, that was a term that was really big early 2000, a trusted advisor. I still think it's a good thing. If you're a powerful persuader, they'll come back to you, won't they? So that if I become their trusted advisor, then I'll get the chance to be trusted by more and more stuff, and business will turn over to personal. In the office, for the clients. You see it happen every day on light stuff. It can happen for the most important stuff. So we're going to look at the principle all the way through. Does that make sense? The principle of liking. People like those who like them. Usually we just like people who like us. Uncover real similarities and offer genuine praise. Where's the person you need to persuade? What's a liking thing you can do to say, hey, you're good? And remember the principle of coaching and encouraging somebody is 7 to 1 positive. So that's certainly good for kids, certainly good for coworkers. And it doesn't always, can't make it up. Like I got one I'm negative with, I can't make it up on my 10-year-old. Doesn't work that way. But what's something you can do in liking, and you already maybe do, to persuade people?
Empathy and listening.
Empathy. I'm showing them that I'm listening, which is respecting them, and that's liking them. Good. That's right. Hey, you've done really well with this part. You've managed, boy, the way you've managed your expenses, unbelievable. Now let's get the assets working correctly. Yeah. You saying that person was 72.3% off and everything they said. But that one thing they said that was right, if you stop and say, man, that's a great point. That's not patronizing if it's true. Like, figure out where you align with them. I agree with that point. Good job.
Yeah, like we're going to build on that together now. We can both
Yeah.
grow this from 20, whatever's left, 23 to, we can grow that to 8.
Yeah, you're right. Especially if you keep telling her she's 20, that's good, that's good, that's good. And then she's going to get validated, and you're going to persuade her to do, you might move her, be a 50-50 partnership in the office. Good. To the same objective, which is the next one. What were some principles of liking in the Super Bowl ads? I think that's the next one too. But there was a lot of get alongness. And a lot of praising, like even in this Nike one, you're praising the athlete who's working on it. You're working, speaking to you, the athlete who works on something, and now we're on your side to do that. That's an element of that. He says this, Cialdini is, along with cultivating a fruitful relationship, adroit managers can also use praise to repair relationships that are damaged or unproductive. Who's got a damaged or unproductive office relationship? Again, hey, that's a really good point there, Johnny. Not like I just said it. Okay? Let's read this verse. Since then, we know what it is to fear the Lord. We try to persuade others. For Christ's love compels us, because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died. And he died for all, that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. Okay, what's God saying through the Apostle Paul here? Yeah. And who's working with somebody who seems to only be out for themselves? Okay, we get, the world business has really gotten the whole profit thing wrong for a long time. There weren't layoffs for profit's sake until the 70s. There were layoffs because we don't have a client anymore. There were, we don't have this business, we don't have this work, there's no more steel, there's a shortage, there's a change in business. But the same thing with out for self, that's not getting better. So if I can like him and say, good point, if I'm not living for myself, if I'm not in this deal for me, Christ's love compels you to not be in the deal for you. Fear of the Lord compels you to not be in the deal for you. So even the most difficult of circumstances, I can come up with something that person does well, that person, that I can prove that I like this, what you're doing, because it's a way to win them. Paul does that even. I can see you guys are very religious. Good. So Christ's love compels us to persuade. You're not going to have a moment that's not a persuasive moment, actually. You're a spirit. You're a soul speaking to a soul. And it is persuasive. And it's clear who can see what somebody's really up to in a discussion you're having with them. I can tell what they really want pretty fast. They can tell what we want. And if they can be convinced that we're on their side, not fake, and I don't not agreeing with everything. Doesn't mean I don't disagree with 82.4%. Just raise it right there of what they're saying. But this 15.6%, I can say, I know that in my heart, I'm not giving them those numbers, by the way, but I'm saying that's good. That's I'm persuading them for good. Okay? Y'all were mentioning this one really, the second one, the principle of reciprocity. Repay in kind. Give what you want to receive. How do you do that? How are you going to do that for your person? Get as relevant as you can here.
Respect.
Respect. So first is just mutual respect. That's good. Kind of carries over the other one. Oh yeah. Because you like to get credit every now and then. But if I don't care who gets the credit, we might all move, right? So I'm gonna give her some credit. Good. Okay, what are they doing in here for reciprocity? What do you see? Did anybody see some reciprocity principle in a Super Bowl ad? And even this ad, Instacart, that's bottom ad, you can barely see it. But the Instacart ad, it is like, how do brands endorse other brands? And we'll show up and we'll be we'll let you put our logo, our Kool-Aid Man, our Ever Ready Bunny in your ad. And another principle's coming in here in a minute on that. But like, hey, if you'll give us some promotion, we'll allow you to use our rights and names. And that's a big thing in intellectual property. Is like to let those things be commingled. The lawyers all spent some time on that, and 2 or 3 of them didn't make it. We don't know which one didn't make it, but I guarantee you there was a debate between the intellectual property people at each of these places. So reciprocity, we'll let you use our logo, and then you're going to help us shine. If you lend, don't try to read this. If you lend a colleague, if you helps a colleague with something, oh, y'all are shorthanded tonight, or it's your employee, and you're saying, hey, I know you stayed till 7 last night. It's 5:30. Let me help you finish this thing up and let's get out of here. That's going to buy some time later, isn't it? It's going to buy some reciprocity to help that employee who needs something, to help that team member who needs something. You're helping those guys right now to be better at this profession, and you may need them. Hey, can you go see this client for me? So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. It's amazing how Jesus summarizes things. He summarizes it all down to this. What's he saying? And we can make some dreams about how we want to be treated, right? We can make some stuff up pretty good about what we want. Just saying, if you want that for yourself, you're going to want that forever. Business owners, like, I want to be able to do this with the business, and this with the business, and this with the business. But the number one principle would be, how do you help the people that are helping you get the same? Oh, let's give them some ownership. Oh, let's bless their life. Maybe they're not big into ownership. Maybe you'll bless their life in some other way. Being an owner is a motivator, yes? So like, not every company has that, but now I can be in it. Now, being a part of the team, being part of the decision-making process. Who's felt out of the loop on a decision? You want to build a culture, you bring people into decisions. They're masterminds. You were on a board where a guy was a mastermind of bringing other people into it and moving forward with just a little twist. Yeah. And guys, I mean, the number one thing we can do, I think, in business, in reciprocity, is image bearing. Hey, you matter. But the second thing is not, when you walk away from a conversation, to not be about greed. I'm not in this for the money. And you're going to see some other principles in a minute, that if I'm just trying to strain every dollar, I'm just a contract guy, I'm just trying to get this thing out, I'm just trying to suck a margin out of a dollar, but it's one thing to use the dollar that way. The dollar should be manipulated and used for good. It's another thing to use a person to get a nickel. And people know it. They know it. We're raising up. And another great principle of bonuses, by the way, is who likes them to be called for you, for your own people? I mean, you want to have some input into the people below you. You want to be able to direct that. So just give me the pool, is what we would say to London. Like, just give us the pool and we'll distribute it correctly. We know them. Trust me in that. I want to be trusted. The trust back and forth is a big thing, okay? All right, social proof. Follow the lead of similar others. Use peer power whenever it's available. See some social proof in these? And they're designed to create more social proof. We're still talking about it on Friday. Some people will be talking about it for a while. There'll be case studies on some of them. But putting celebrities in there is social proof. Having brands come together. Testimonials from satisfied customers. Your net promoter score is the number one stat in your business that people will say, we're good at this. It's true for recruiting, isn't it, Ed? It's true for leasing. It's true for real estate. It's true for it to say this guy, and you're trying to get sellers to do something, Dan, like this, talk to this other seller. 4 years later, this is the relationship, and this is the way we improve that community. It can work that way. Talk to our clients. Let's read this. And you see and hear how this fellow Paul has convinced and led astray large numbers of people here in Ephesus and in practically the whole province of Asia. He says that gods made by human hands are no gods at all. Okay, what's happening here? You see the twist in this one? As a social proof? This guy's been saying that these things we made, these little trinkets, he's been saying they're not gods at all. And we make a lot of money off this stuff. He could ruin our whole economy. Now, if somebody could do that, it's a negative statement, but who when you hear one side of the news say something negative, you're sure you're of your side all the more. So it's the social proof kind of works in both directions. Well, like if that guy could convince all these people to throw their gods away, and by the way, we still make little gods. Okay, this is totally relevant. We make things gods that are not gods, and so it's social proof that everybody's turned and followed this guy. That's what they're worried about. That's what the Pharisees were worried about the whole time. Now we don't look for verses to back up what we're saying, but you see, there's a progressive in here. I want social proof. I want referrals, I want trust, I want reciprocity, and then there's trust in what Dan's saying and what we're saying, and use money the way it should be used, then we're going to do that more and more. If we're examples that will lead to Jesus. Why does that guy not seem to be greedy? Why does that guy seem to be doing things that aren't good for him? Okay, consistency. Who likes consistency? Charlie, you like that? Align with clear commitments. Who's not following somebody? Who's not being persuaded because it's so inconsistent? Say it the other way. How do you need to show consistency in the way you need to persuade somebody? Follow up. Yeah. Just do what I say I'm going to do.
Funny thing we always said.
That's good. Who likes that clarity to be public? That's what they're saying. I'm so committed to this, I'm public about it. So in the persuasive stuff, somebody agreed to an exercise challenge, to yoga every day, and one of the things. But it was a public commitment. As the fitness places really do a good job of that. Public commitment, I'm going to keep doing these things. Public commitment, I'm going to commit to no sugar or carbs for how long? I'm going to make these commitments, and then that is if I can get you to do that, you'd be persuasive. I do it in public all the more. I'm not going to do this anymore. When you have a relationship go south, you say, I won't be perfect. I love what J.P. Morgan even said in their kind of mission statement and principles. We won't be perfect all the time, but we're going to vow to make it right. So hold me accountable to make it right. In the office, I used to have to say, I promise I care more about you than this business, but I can't always remember that. So when what you need is at risk, please tell me. Please bring that up. It doesn't just put it on them. I've still got to make a commitment to it, okay? There's strong empirical evidence, psychological evidence, that activity is spoken out loud or written down or otherwise made explicit is considerably more likely to direct someone's future conduct than something unspoken. So if I say it and I mean it, and the verse on that, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. So it's a public piece of that that's helpful. If I can make it public or even one-on-one commitment to you, promise to follow up. If there's also this, who trusts people who do what they say? But also live out what they're saying. That's what God's calling us to. Don't just say this stuff. Don't just say, that person matters more than me. Treat them that way. Don't just say I'm not in it for the money. Be not in it for the money. They know. Live out that life. I'm in it to increase your peace and understanding and your assets. I'm not in it for me, and I can prove it. And then they're going to move to you for more stuff. More important stuff. How about authority? Who likes to hear it from somebody? Defer to experts. Expose your expertise. Don't assume it's self-evident. For somebody you need to persuade, what authority might you use? Accreditation. Nobody's accredited more in winning friends and influencing people than Dale Carnegie. What else? A source you could use. Now, another way to show you have authority. It happened. This is a true thing. I was reading page 16 of the appellate judge recommendation, and it happened, and then this really happened, and then it did, and we need to learn from that. And by the way, there are all sorts of authorities here, brands or authority, we can move on. But like the principle of authority, and that's what this, you don't have to read it, but I can talk about specifically where I've used something, where I've implemented something, who I learned it from, why it's proven, and that authority has proven out every time. And certainly that's what they're doing here, using bigger brands to promote brands, they've done it for a long time. It's there. However, I consider my life worth nothing to me. My only aim is to finish the race and complete the task the Lord Jesus has given me, the task of testifying to the good news of God's grace. Where does he get his authority? From God? From Jesus, and his authority is to do what? He's been given authority to what? Complete the task the Lord Jesus has given me. The Lord himself gave me this task of testifying to the good news of God's grace. God gave this to me. Jesus gave this to me. He met him face to face, but you got up and met with him this morning, and it's your task. For sure, it's your task. Who's committed to this task? And to live consistently that way, and to like people because of that, and to use this authority. This is my mission. This is what I've been given. The Lord himself gave me this mission to go and be clear with you about financial disclosures, and be clear with you about doing the best I can with your resources to help you get what you need, and be clear with you about things that are true, because I wouldn't want to lead you astray. If you trust me, and I become a trusted advisor with you, I'll get to tell you more. I'll tell you more about the King. I keep going. That's what we're here to do. All right, scarcity. Everybody knows this one. Do people want more of what they can't have? In your business? 100%. The demands in big corporate America say, I need more of that. Dan, do you know people who want more of what they can't have? Is it happening in the office? Unique benefits and exclusive information. Can you say, hey, I'm going to tell you about this thing that's about to happen? Who likes that? Anybody know somebody likes that? How can you use exclusivity today? I'll give you a hint while you're thinking. How'd they do it here? Wait a minute, there's some Michelob Ultra over there. Let's go play them for it. It's the best stuff. We got to get it. It's worth playing pickleball for. Silly, but exclusive scarcity. That's not the right beer. Let's go get this one. This is the right one. They're using common stuff. This is the good one. Now, how can you do exclusivity today? Last 2 spots, only one more day. You get the emails all the time, you don't believe them. But when it's real, it does matter, right? And if you really only have 2, they can feel it. Because that guy doesn't tell me that every time. So there really are only 2 left. That's good. You know it's time. This case is, here's what you could do. Windows close, yes? And this quote is about, what if you help somebody in the office? The bonus plan's about to close, right? What you're saying, Wade? It's about to close out. So I only have so much longer to make an influence. So if you and a peer are talking about this, and he knows, well, actually they're going to finalize this on Friday, I know I got to make a call today. To give them a deadline that's just only going to be available so long. Like, hey, I know you've been struggling with the boss on this. She's leaving. That's what this quote is saying. She's leaving on Tuesday. It's just a good time to go in there. She's been open on these things all week. You know, to give somebody else a window is another way to help scarcity. Give somebody the window of time that's the best time for them to make an action. If in marketing, same thing. Hey, if you get your site done by this, selling season comes up. Okay, I'll read the last verse. Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Father, you're so good. to us. Your offer is not exclusive and it's not scarce. Your grace abounds. You're offering all, desiring that none should perish, that we would know you. Thank you that you've shown us yourself. Thank you that we hear your voice. Now, help us to persuade others of your truth, of the way to live, of the only way full of glory, grace, and truth. And the only way, truth and life, help them. There's only one way. Help us to live a life that points to that helps others ask about it so we can lead them to you, King Jesus. In your name, amen.